from the News Channel 5 network. This is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. In the midst of the ongoing pandemic and a midterm election this year, our public school system remains a major political battleground. Is that ever going to change? Did the first ever partisan school board elections being held across Tennessee that culminated with the August 4th election make partisan divisions in our state over education better or worse? Will we ever reach a consensus on the role of charter schools? Is there any room for Hillsdale College charter schools in Tennessee? What about the school voucher pilot program that begins this month, within a few days, in both Memphis and Nashville? And what about vouchers? Will they be a situation that will free low-income students trapped in failing schools, or will it still leave school districts and students left behind? Gini Pupo-Walker is the director of the Tennessee Education Trust in Tennessee. She's also been a member of the past 4 years of the Metro School Board. She did not seek re-election, but she is joining us this week on Inside Politics to talk about what she sees about our public education system in Nashville, across Tennessee, and throughout the nation. Gini, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much, Pat.
I read an article in preparing for this that you said the proudest moment of your life was the day that you were sworn in as a school board member for Nashville Public Schools. But you only served one 4-year term. Did you find your work to be a little overwhelming for the last 4 years? It's been a tough time for not the whole world, but particularly for education.
You know, Pat, I say that one term on the school board during a pandemic equals 3 regular terms on a school board.
Which would be 12 years.
Correct. And so a couple of things. I came in during a tumultuous time under a previous director of schools and a lot of division, a lot of rancor. And then we, of course, had tornado, and then we had the pandemic, brought on a new superintendent, thankfully, Dr. Adrian Battle, and really just been really, really much more time and energy than I expected.
So all that kind of did you in? So
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I also have other competing interests. I have a full-time job, very full-time job. I also have parents that I take care of, and lost my mom a month ago, but part of the reason I decided not to run was so that I could dedicate more time to them, and so that's what I'm going to do. You
endorsed a candidate to take your place. That person won pretty overwhelmingly in the Thursday night vote when it came in. I know you were frustrated at the last school board meeting. Do you feel better about leaving at this point, that perhaps the future for public education in Nashville is perhaps brighter than you feared it was going to be?
I can't tell you how delighted I am with those election results. I called Dr. Battle last night. I said, I wish I could be a 10th at-large school board member with this board. I think this is going to be a board filled with thoughtful, smart, 9 women who are focused on consensus and working hard and doing right for our students. I think it was a statement about the tenor of election education politics.
This is the first time we had partisan elections for school board seats across the state. There were 4 seats up Thursday night. The Democrats won all 4 of them, and 3 of them are going to be so-called new faces, although 2 of the 3 have been on the school board before. That would seem to give you more experience than usual. Is that one of the reasons you're optimistic?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, and the nature of their campaigns, the things they're focused on, they're rooted in their communities, they're rooted in solutions. I just think they're going to be really powerful school board members.
Also, because of the way the election turned out, you might feel like you've had a vindication of some of the policies which were quite controversial during the pandemic, for mask mandates, for other things that the schools did to do that. There was a lot of pushback from candidates that were trying to get on the school board, but they didn't win. Do you think the voters said, okay, you did okay on that?
I think it was I'm going to say it's a clear mandate, and the reason I say that is it's 4 different districts. We have Antioch, we have Creve Hall area, we have Hillsborough cluster, we have Hermitage, Donaldson. I mean, these are folks across the city that said we're going to reject sort of the anger politics of education.
But having said all that, did the school board get at least some kind of warning that perhaps they need to feel like there's more purposeful outreach to parents so they understand they are part of the system and how to be engaged in part of it? Because a lot of what happened, I think, were done with good intentions, with parents feeling left out, perhaps frightened by what they're seeing in terms of public health, but not quite knowing how to express that in what they thought was a meaningful way.
Oh, then no question about it. I think we could always do better on family and community engagement. I think that is work that is only beneficial to the school system. I think parents, whether your concern is about health or any other issue, parents have a right to declare that and share that and come and speak to board members and at board meetings. I think it's the way that you approach the issue, not so much the message. I think that is important to think about.
I haven't seen the results statewide in these school board elections. I suspect it may be a lot like Nashville and what happened in Nashville, maybe like the rest of the state, where there was a Democratic propensity. They elected Democrats. Where there's more Republicans, they elected Republicans. So what kind of real is it going to see? Are we going to see good things or bad things out of having partisan elections for school board races?
I think it's going to depend on the county. You know, Memphis chose not to have partisan school board races this year. In Nashville, the Democrats would not have run a partisan slate had the Republicans not chosen to do so first. I have to wonder if Republicans are thinking it was not a good idea to put to jump into the fray. And so maybe I'd love to see in 2 years from now Nashville decide to keep school boards nonpartisan.
We're going to talk about a lot of divisive issues that divide, in some cases, people on the school board, in some cases, local governments against the state, and other things like that. But all this is about adults kind of arguing among themselves. And here you have all these students trying to go to school and do well, but all they hear the adults doing is arguing. What kind of strange message does that send to young people?
I'll push back a little bit and say, and I was a classroom teacher for a long time, believe it or not, in the classroom environment, they're not paying attention to the rancor between a governor and a commissioner of schools and a superintendent. They're really in the day-to-day, head down doing the work. I think it's when you have loss of resources, when you have public declarations like Dr. Arnn did, that people pay attention.
Test scores in Metro were up, perhaps more than they were anyplace else in the state, but unfortunately we're coming from a lower, we have many more students who don't reach grade level. We're fully funding the schools, at least for the last 2 years, more pay for teachers to try to keep them on board and staff. How do we get up to where this finally gets us to where we're going at grade level? Because we're still, we have gains. We didn't get as far as we'd like to be ultimately.
No, I mean, no question about that. We've made tremendous gains this year. It's a real testament to the work of our teachers and our students, but we have a ways to go. We have a big ways to go.
Gini Pupo-Walker is our guest. She's been a member of the Metro School Board for the last 4 years. She's not seeking re-election, but she has a lot of things to say about education. Back to continue our conversation after this break.